Alright, so welcome back to Project Jotmon. Now this is the 1980 Mustang Notchback I'm building that'll eventually be a wide body. And today, I want to go ahead and get these knocked out of the way. So now that I have the interior all out, and before I start putting it back, I want to make sure that the quarter windows are sealed and the sail panels here are cleaned up and painted. So I'm going to take both sides off now and paint them and then reinstall them prior to putting the interior in, since I need to get to the back side of these to get them off. A lot of people are just going to kind of mask around them and paint them. They don't have the interior out, but since I do have the interior out, it's advantageous to it now. It's just 3 or 4 nuts on the back side of this. There are studs in this. And I'm just going to go inside and take them out. So, come on, let me show you how to do it. Alright, so inside the vehicle on each pillar, obviously, if you've got the trim out, the plastic trim, along the panel here, you're going to find that you'll have some just basically glued on or some insulation really from the factory. It's really just kind of thin shoddy that's glued on. It's probably got like a tape backing and it's double-sided and it's on. So once you take that off, you're going to find that you're going to have some cavities in here. If you got a sunroof, obviously this is the sunroof tube. Push that out of the way. And on the back side of your sail panel going down, what you're going to see is there's going to be 3 or 4 studs in here. And they're going to have a nut on the back. All you really need to do is just take a socket ratchet and take off those nuts, and then the sail panel itself is just going to pull right off. So just be careful on the outside. Don't push the studs because the sail panel can fall out. You don't want to scratch it, obviously, or really just chip it up, because that means more work on it with some Bondo in that, or fiberglass, however you're going to fix it, and then you're not going to do it again. So I'm going to go ahead and take these nuts off, peel the sail panel off, and then get both of those driver and passenger side off so that I can do a little bit of body work, scuff those, and then get them painted. So once you have the 4 nuts taken off the back of this, you'll notice that they've got kind of like a rubberized butyl on the washers themselves. That's good. On the nuts themselves, you'll probably notice it's crumbly if it's like mine, and that'll be okay. We're going to replace that anyway. So on here, you've got kind of a little bit of a, I guess it's expando foam really of what it is, and that was just meant to help keep this from rattling. That's okay. We can replace that. Toss that aside. And now you can get a good look at what condition these are and all the edges. So mine are in pretty good shape. Couple dings here and there, and a previous owner painted these, I think, flat black when he painted the car. I don't think he changed these. So I'm going to change this to the black SEM exterior trim that I did on the sunroof already, and we'll get these done the same. So I just need to get these, and I'm going to sand them with probably around 400 grit, 220 to 400 grit, see what I have in the drawer, and I'm going to wet sand these just to see what condition they're really in. I've got a couple spots to Bondo, but let's get a good condition to where I can Bondo them, and we'll go from there. Alright, so in order to sand them, I just set myself up pretty a simple table in the garage. I don't have a lot of floor space, so piece of wood, couple stands, and these really aren't that big. They're about the size of your arm, so, you know, they're not that bad. This is some 220 sandpaper I'm using, and then this is just some really just kind of water, and I think I may have a touch of soap in here, a couple drops, nothing major. So I'm really just going to sand these down. The primary reason I'm sanding them is just to level the surface of them, get any contaminants off, and since these were painted, I just really want to get a good surface to adhere primer to, and then the SEM paint will go on the primer. It'll also give you a chance to look at any of the scuffs and pieces in there that need to be done. So if I wipe these off, these really aren't bad. But you can kind of see right here by my finger, right there, you can see that little dimple. I just want to get rid of those. And it's really not that bad, so it's kind of up to you if you want to go to this extra length of doing some Bondo work and get it all surfaced out. For me, I do, because this is kind of, it's going to be a show car a little bit. It's going to be a driving car, but I don't know what I want to do with it long term. So why not now make it look pretty darn spiffy, and who knows what will go from there. So once I get these sanded, I'll get them cleaned off better than this. And from that point on, I'm going to get some Bondo out, get out of my cabinet, put a little bit of Bondo together, and then probably just give these a nice simple coat that I'll have to sand down and make sure I fill in all the divots. Once your filler has dried, now give it 24 hours if you have the time, it's going to turn to a pink. So here's a nice pink for it. You can also see in there, these are the sand marks in that. Once it's cured, you're going to then sand it down. I like to use 150 grit, so I just use something like this, just pieces of this that I can use, sand that down. Once it's sanded and everything is smooth, you're going to clean it. And then you're going to paint it with some SEM high build primer, which is what I like. Now this is black, if you think of it that way. I'm going to do that. I did 3 coats of that, and then I did 3 coats of SEM trim black. This is the same stuff I use in the sunroof and the same stuff that'll be used on the mirrors. So this is the final result. So you go from this to this. Now on this itself, obviously I used a zip tie in the back up here, if you can look in the top corner. And this is just to hang it as I was painting it. So I could hang it, spray it. And I just did 3 light coats of that. And then it's done. And I let it cure pretty much in between each coat. I was just doing a coat kind of in the end of the day and let it cure overnight and then come back in the next day and do it. And this has taken me about a week to do. And that's just because I had a lot of other stuff to do. This will flash off in about 15 minutes. So you could do a coat every 15-20 minutes pretty easily, get this done in one day, and then at that point it's up to you if you really want to sand it. Now I did use some 400 lightly between the primer coats, which was the 3 of those, did the 400 and then into the paint itself. There's just a couple areas I thought just needed a little bit of touch up for the sanding, but you can just do it very lightly, and the 400 was still pretty aggressive. Once you're done painting, it's time to reassemble to the car. When it's time to put the sail panels back on, just remember that these should have a rubber washer or rubber grommet on the back side of the studs. This is where they come from the factory. If yours are missing it, there's some different options you can do. You can obviously go replace them. These are what they are. They slide right over. I am going to add a little bit of butyl, which comes in a roll like this. Now this is something made by 3M. This is about the 1/4 inch side or even less. You can take a small little bit, kind of roll it in your fingers and make a circle of it, and then put it right over the holes. So what this will do is if you have kind of chromy washers itself, what this will allow is the body here to go against there, and it will stop any water from protruding down in there. So once you have all 4 grommets or both on there, you can then put that on there. Now, I just need to go to the inside and put on the 4 nuts on the back of the studs, tighten them down with my 9mm socket, and that is it. All right, so those came out pretty nice, especially when you compare them to the carbon fiber wrap on all the trim. Now, these are pretty easy to do. Just make sure you take a lot of patience, really. Don't rush paint. Remember, it's the 2 P's, prep and patience when you're coming to paint. So now these are done, and I'm on to some other projects. But I may be offering these for sale. Either I can refurbish yours if you're interested in not doing it yourself, or if you want to trade them out, basically give me a set and I'll give you a new set. So I'm going to start picking them up from the salvage yard and refurbishing them and offer them out. So I'll probably just do the forums, eBay, etc. But if you have questions, you want to try it yourself, you have questions on how I did mine, give me a shout, either in the comments or private message, etc. Or even on Instagram, because I'll put these up there. So that is it for this time. The 2 P's, prep and patience. We'll see you next time.